People in the free world cannot understand why China is taking such a hardline military action. Because a politician from the United States, a democratic country, visited Taiwan, also a free and democratic country. Taiwan is a free and democratic country that values human rights with a constitution and a democratically elected president. And historically, China has never ruled Taiwan. In response to the visit of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan, China has launched an unprecedented and powerful protest displaying its firepower. With these firepower demonstrations, China's invasion and containment strategies in Taiwan are being revealed to the United States and the West one after another. The most eye-catching part of China's exercises this time was the scene in which the People's Liberation Army fired 11 missiles into the water surrounding Taiwan. The People's Liberation Army announced on the afternoon of the 4th of August. The Eastern Front Rocket Unit reportedly fired conventional missiles in various targets in their planned sea area in the eastern Taiwanese seas, and all the missiles hit their targets. A spokesperson for the Chinese military said the exercise was a regional denial capability, meaning that it blocks the enemy's approach or occupation of land, sea, and air areas. In other words, China will block approaching U.S. aircraft carriers. If China invades Taiwan, of course the U.S. military will dispatch aircraft carriers to support Taiwan. In other words, the Chinese military conducted missile exercises to prepare to attack U.S. aircraft carriers approaching Taiwan. However, all these military exercises by the Chinese People's Liberation Army are being closely monitored by the U.S. military Ronald Reagan Aircraft Carrier Squadron, and information is being collected. The Reagan carrier fleet seems to have captured every scene of the Chinese People's Liberation Army's missile launch, aimed at preventing U.S. carriers from approaching Taiwan and preparing to respond. China's Dongfeng missiles were fired from an unknown location in mainland China towards Taiwan. The Reagan carrier fleet learns and analyzes where the launch area is and how to respond in advance and so on. It seems that all the data on evasion method had been obtained and analyzed. The Chinese People's Liberation Army made the mistake of exposing a very important strategy for China's takeover of Taiwan through this military exercise. This time, the Chinese People's Liberation Army set up training zones in 6 areas surrounding Taiwan's important ports and sea routes and conducted shooting drills in an operation to quasi-blockade Taiwan's sea and airspace. China's intention is to completely block Taiwan by threatening major ports and sea routes. The exercise tested the maritime blockade, one of Taiwan's unification by force options. In short, considering the situation in Taiwan, which relies on sea transportation for strategic materials, such as natural gas and crude oil, maritime blockade can be a de facto or ready-in-a-trap operation. The Chinese military's training revealed 2 major strategies. One is that China, which is not capable of invading Taiwan, is devising a strategy to force itself to surrender by blockade of Taiwan instead of an all-out invasion. If the U.S. military sends a fleet of aircraft carriers to support Taiwan, China has a strategy to block the approach by firing Dongfeng missiles. But if China blocks Taiwan entirely, the Taiwanese military is likely to launch an operation to break through the blockade first. Even in this case, if China responds militarily, an all-out war between Taiwan and China will follow. In this case, China should take into account that Taiwan's hedgehog strategy could destroy a large part of China. In addition to China's metropolitan areas, including Shanghai, it must be assumed that critical infrastructure, including the 3 gorges dam, will also be hit. If that happens, of course, the US military will also participate in the war. China is unable to withstand such a counterattack unless it decides to go on its own path to collapse.